The fiction writer Maxwell Conroe had to walk back home for 5 miles over a dirt track in pitch darkness. A fit person with good vision can walk the route in about an hour or two, but not until sunrise would Maxwell re-emerge from the mountains. The strange thing is that his mind continues to make up stories about what happened to him on that memorable night. Let me read for you how the fiction writer Maxwell Conroe recollects the events in his story entitled Nocturnal Adventures. Night has such a special place in our lives because, when the sun's absence bereaves us from natural light and warmth, the cool darkness provides us a welcome repose from our daily routines. Also, the night, for all its paucity of energy displays, still has much to offer. Not long ago, some of my most magic encounters occurred in the darkness of a moonless night. Have you ever walked in the wilderness on a moonless night? I never intended to walk back home for 5 miles, over a dirt track, in pitch darkness. I had ventured out, late noon, from the lovely coastal town of Agua Amarga, where I had rented a cozy apartment. The wilderness in southern Spain keeps luring me back year after year. Sometimes I miss out 1 or 2 years. My fancy is a remote mountainous area that straddles the Mediterranean coast. My plan was to hike across a couple of hills. The hillside is covered by small bushes, thyme, grass, lavender, and zillions of loose rocks. My intention was to return home well before the last daylight would fade. It was in December, so the air was neither too hot nor too cold, just perfect hiking weather. From my remote hilltop position, maybe a mile or 2 away, I could see small dots moving over the dirt in the far distance. I could not make out whether these dots were human beings or wild hogs. When I eventually got there, a local family, not hogs, but 2 adult boys and 2 middle-aged parents, was collecting edible plants from the abandoned fields. After all these years, I have made many friends in the area, some of whom I have not seen for a very, very long time. When the father smiled, I recognized Jose. His quirky grin had not changed in the 30 years that had passed since I had last seen him. Meanwhile, his 2 boys all had been born and raised, so we had a lot of catching up to do, and it got later and later as we chatted away. Jose told me that my Swiss friends were also in the valley. They own a house over a mile up a nearby dirt track. I had not seen them for a good number of years either. I decided to go visit them. A heartwarming welcome awaited me. Ample time was spent filling each other in about what had happened in the gap since we last met. Being exceptionally generous people, my friends cooked a great meal, and we enjoyed some fine red wine. We were all merrily chatting away about what had kept us busy over the past few years. At some point, I realized the night had long fallen. The wine unwittingly kept flowing into my glass and was knocking me off my feet. I suddenly deeply feared that I was about to keel over. In short, it was a good time to undertake my foot journey back to where I had started my journey, earlier in the afternoon, the sea resort of Agua Amarga. My nightly journey was bound to be a marvelous experience. The sky was clear, and I gazed at 1,000,000 stars in constellations beyond imagination. But something strange happened that night. It was a moonless night. With the moon gone, I could not see much of the ground around me. My journey was through a labyrinth of darkness, with merely some faint guidance from stars shimmering in the Milky Way above. Starlight gives only a fickle of light compared to what the moon can reflect from the sun at night. But the moon was gone. I must also admit that I was not capable of walking straight, and this had nothing to do with the lack of light. The alcohol level in my system was disorienting me and made me stumble forward. Each step was involuntarily followed by a couple more. My muscle control was severely affected by my intoxicated state. What's more, after each couple of forward charges, I would need a halt to recover my bearings. and I kept hearing, or imagining, giggling noises, as if sirens were both following and trying to lure me up the rock formations that flanked the dirt track, winding back to Agua Amarga. It had been years since I had last taken this route through the Cañada de Mendez, but I was not afraid of losing my way. From time to time, I started singing, especially during the stretches with rock faces closing in on the track. This singing technique was kind of an echolocating. In the pitch darkness, one can still hear when one is about to crash, on foot, into the rock wall next to the path. So the singing saved me from walking straight into the rock formation flanking the dirt track. This was not my major problem. Not until sunrise would I re-emerge from the mountains, while a sober person can walk the route in about an hour or two. The strange thing is that my mind keeps making up different stories about what happened to me that memorable night. Let me share with you, in the following 3 mind twisters, some of the most plausible recollections of events.